Good afternoon, good people. Quick round of applause for how good the food has been. Really delicious, nourishing food. We'll give a proper thanks to all the Airly staff that are so kindly and generously hosting us here. But in the meantime, we're diving in because our colleagues and friends in Cameroon are waiting for us, and they will be visually available very soon. Yay, okay. So, assalamu alaikum and greetings, friends. This is President Musa Ndamba. He is president of Moboskudu, which is the Cameroonian chapter of the African Food Sovereignty Alliance, which is calling in to talk to us with a very powerful message about how to reclaim the trade title and the research title for racial justice, so the international dimensions of the racial justice of the Farm Bill. Joining him, we also have a whole wonderful group of people from Moskudu: Garba Mohamedou, Habane Umaru, Rugayetu Sali, and Gambo Fadimatu. So a round of applause welcoming our colleagues and friends from Cameroon.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you for having me, and thank Professor Khadija for that wonderful introduction. And I think we can go ahead. As he said, I'm Musa Usman Damba. I'm the first Vice National President. The focal point of the ABSA stands for Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, a network of indigenous African Food Alliance network. So this evening or afternoon over there in the US, we are here with the team of staff members of Boskuda and also members of ABSA. So we have to honor them, especially the women who are majority the farmer. So we have the Mrs. Rugayatu Sali, who will be reading our presentation this afternoon, or if you like, this evening for Cameroon. So, Rugayatu, Sally, over to you. So we're reading the slides. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good afternoon day or good evening from Cameroon. Okay, the first slide.
Can we get you closer to the microphone, by possible? Thank you.
Okay. The first slide, ASA, which means Alliance for Sovereignty in Africa. ASA brings together small-scale farmers, pastoralists, fishers, indigenous peoples, state communities, consumers.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. We could hear you, Mr. Musa, very well, but the young lady, it's just, I don't know how far you are from the microphone. If we get you closer to the microphone or switch positions, would be great. Maybe.
Voice of food sovereignty.
Next slide, please.
Next slide is Boskuda. Boskuda is the meaning of Boskuda is
Yes, sorry again. Sorry, Mr. Musa, we hear you very, very well. It's just that the young lady, we're not hearing. It's very broken up. I don't know whether you're too close to the microphone, maybe compression's going on. If we can have you swap positions, swap seats.
Yeah, let's see. Come again.
Okay. Yeah, thank you,
Okay, thank you. Okay. That's it.
because we hear you very well. So, all right,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah. Boskuda means Boro Social and Development Association. It has as mission, Boskuda's vision is to empower the Boro people to achieve sustainable and equitable development on their terms and to secure their human, social, and economic rights as valued active citizens of the Republic of Cameroon. Boskuda collaborates with local civil society organizations, government departments, and international development agencies. Boskuda also has special consultative with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations.
Next slide.
Next slide. Our mission, building the largest social movement in Africa, gathering evidence for agroecology, advocating for agroecology in policy and trade, campaigning for agroecology for climate action, developing agroecological entrepreneurs, advancing African-led food policy, cultivating healthy soil and healthy food.
Next slide.
After programs, policy and advocacy. Okay, capacity building, promoting agroecology, youth and women in agriculture, seed and biodiversity, climate resilience. Next slide. Okay. AFSA's research and outreach for policy, advocacy at the regional, national, and international levels, targeting sector ministries responsible for 1, agriculture, food and rural development. 2, we have environment, natural resources, and climate change. Budgetary analysis at the national level to determine what proportion of the budget is allocated to agroecology relative to what is spent on industrial agriculture, so as to encourage further research into agroecology's efficacy. Next slide. AFSA's messages for US. AFSA's messages for US agroecology trade policy. Okay. Okay, increased congressional oversight of trade negotiations and the transparent release of negotiating text to the public. Promote sustainable and agroecological farming practices which can benefit small-scale farmers by reducing their dependence on expensive, environmentally degrading inputs like fertilizers and pesticides. We have to protect small-scale farmers' rights to use and exchange their own seeds, which is crucial for maintaining crop diversity and resilience. This benefits small-scale farmers, but also contributes to global food security by preserving the genetic diversity of crops.
Next slide.
Africa has dozens of distinct agroecological biomes and biomass and hundreds of agricultural regions and the center of world origin. And of course, of the world important crops from second to US policy must respect African agricultural expertise. Africa must shift away from dependency on imported food and foods. Well, technologies and reduce vulnerability to historical and current crises generated outside Africa's shores, including climate change, conflicts, pandemics, and neo-colonialism. Farmers, pastoralists, fisherfolk, indigenous peoples, and local communities use agroecology to steward their land sustainability, produce nourishing food that celebrates cultural heritage and strengthens local markets, economics, and health. AFSA continues to call on US policymakers to shift funding away from a green revolution strategy, away from commodity crop dumping and toward proven agroecological alternatives. Next slide. Industrial agriculture is no solution for Africa. An open letter to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Gates Foundation, through AGRA, until recent, supports an industrial agriculture approach reliant on monocropping and intensive toxic chemical inputs, which displaces smallholder farmers and reduces local farmers to nothing more than food factories valued only for their production for overseas markets. Local crop varieties rely on existing amino acid banks, which have been growing for generations, but they are being replaced by imported commercial varieties developed for industrial feed and processing markets. The Gates Foundation is also working to restructure seed laws across Africa, which protect corporate varieties but criminalize non-certified seeds. This is particularly problematic for small-scale farmers in Africa, who nourish their families and their communities through seeds shared among millions of smallholder farmers who recycle and exchange seeds each year. AFSA's open letter calls for investment and support for small-scale farmers around the world who are working to build alternative food systems that are socially just and ecologically sustainable. AFSA reaches out to pointing the Farm Bill towards Racial Justice Summit, to the Federation of Southern Cooperative / Land Assistance Fund and its many alliances to join in solidarity. Next slide. Building solidarity, agroecology for climate action. Together we can build our vision for sustainable agriculture, one that is African-led, productive, resilient, and just to fruition. Thank you.
Next, please.
Amazing. We are so grateful to the Moskutu, and I think they have one more slide with their final contact information to stay in contact. So another round of applause. That was such a powerful message of solidarity. I met President Musa in Sharm el-Sheikh at the climate talks in Egypt, which were really a corporate fiasco, but there was such a strong African civil society presence there, and African Food Sovereignty Alliance was there and speaking truth to power, so it was such an honor to connect. So now we can take questions. I think we only have 5 minutes or so, but we can take 2 or 3, pass them to our colleagues, and at least just begin this dialogue and its many new layers.
Hi, Candy Sheely from Southeastern Roastery. I'm happy to see the Green Revolution being brought up in the presentation. I'm wondering if you can talk a bit more about what that has shown, how that has been kind of shown in some agriculture that you're experiencing. So.
Okay. I don't know whether your question is referred to us or to the moderator, let us know. But thank you for the question.
Maybe we'll take one more question. There's more to say on the Green Revolution. And if President Musa and President Salih, Vice President Salih, if you all could speak a little more into the microphone, we're savoring each word. Tambra.
Okay. Please continue the question. You can take more questions, then we'll answer all the questions together.
Thank you so much for your presentation. So as here in the U.S., we move forward in trying to advance a food bill of rights, I'm curious about the idea of what would an African food bill of rights look like and the ability to operationalize and implement that, and what kind of stakeholders would you see involved in that? So one question is, what could a food bill of rights do to advance the cause of food sovereignty in Africa? And how and what way would we operationalize and push and move it forward as we think about having a collective action both on the US and Africa front?
Thank you. What is our question?
That question was about a food bill of rights, or a right to food in the continent.
Okay. Okay, we can take on this two questions. Thank you for your question. And yeah, what we talked about, the Alliance for Green Revolution, or AGRA, we know about their contribution to African agricultural aid. But I think our message for now for the US and the US decision maker, especially at the funding about AGRA, is that I think time have evolved and a lot of change, and Africa need to own its food sovereignty. So Africa required more dialogue, more open policy, and more transparent negotiation to be able to come out with a sustainable food system. Africa, I think, is rich in biodiversity, it's rich in nature, and can fit in itself. So Africa might be, we could consider renegotiating the aid to Africa so that it will become more sustainable and a more win-win situation rather than a top-bottom situation. So this is our message on that. So on the Good and Bill Gates Foundation, and what we are also seeing like a new approach, we require that learning from the pandemic crisis, for example, talking about the COVID pandemic, that we are just coming out of it. There's also the war in Ukraine, for example, which is also impacting on Africa. We think that there is a lot to support rather the African farmers, especially the small circle farming, what we call the family farming, which will go a long way to reduce African dependency on food aid and rather produce this food in Africa, which is more sustainable, more healthy, and using the pastoralist experience in producing organic, healthy manure to support the farming population in producing healthy food. So I think there will be some renegotiation, redynamic. This is in a nutshell of our message to the African or to the American population and the American decision maker, and also the Bill Gates and the Blender Foundation to renegotiate their support to Africa. Thank you.
Round of applause for our colleagues in the African Food Sovereignty Alliance. We're so grateful for your time, and this is just the beginning of the collaborations with Federation and broader allies. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, and thank all the participants, and we are grateful for this opportunity. As you said, this is just the beginning for much more fruitful collaboration in the near future. Thank you.